करेगा. Good morning, students. Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to the session of science lecture. I hope you all are keeping good health. Children, in the last lecture, we had done the physical properties of metals and non-metals. Right now, I'm going to start with the chemical properties of these metals and non-metals, which we had studied about them. Let me allow to share my screen so that we can be more comfortable while learning. This is your host today. My name is Kiran. Let's move forward for today's chapter, that is a continuation to metals and non-metals. Let's move ahead and see what are the learning outcomes for today. The learning outcomes is that you apply this in your day-to-day life. Children, we had studied about the metals and non-metals earlier. These were the metals we studied, and the physical properties of carbon, sulfur, and bromine we had studied. But earlier also we had said that this is not enough, to authenticate that the metals are existing in the nature. So we are going to move ahead with doing the chemical properties of the same metals and non-metals, so that now you will have no doubts about this topic. Let's move ahead and see the chemical properties of our metals. Let us start with the first point, that is, how do you understand metals better? By saying that, seeing the electronic configurations. So, on the screen we are having sodium, magnesium, and aluminium. Let us see sodium first. Children, I had taught you inside of metal, we have learned in our earlier chapter that we have to concentrate on the outermost orbit. The electrons present in the outermost orbit are having more weightage in this case. Here we are having one electron in the outermost orbit, and in case of magnesium we are having 2 electrons in the outermost orbit, and in aluminium we are having 3 electrons in the outermost orbit. Now, why am I talking about only the outermost orbit? Because this is what is going to decide about the property of them, like the nature of these elements. These say, see, if you have very less, like less than 4, we are going to say that they have a tendency to give away electrons from the outermost shell. Now, giving out means, what do you mean by that? What happens exactly by we saying giving out? Giving out means there is something known as formation of ions. Sorry, formation of ions. Now, how do ions are formed? Let's take the example of sodium. When I said it gives out 1 electron because it had only 1 electron in its outermost shell. Similarly, magnesium has 2 electrons in the outermost shell and it is capable of giving out 2 electrons. Children, when something is given out, a positive charge is created on that metal. So this positive charge is named as cation. Let's see an example of aluminium also. In case of sodium, because it was only 1 electron, it had to give 1 electron out and 1 cation is formed on metal. And magnesium, 2 cations are formed, and in aluminium 3 cations are found. So, children, if an electron is given out, what do we say? That they have the tendency to give out and form cations. These elements are known as metals. They show the properties of metals. Okay. And we say that the outermost shell has the capacity to give away electrons. So let us move forward for today's topic, that is reaction with oxygen. Now, what do you mean by reaction with oxygen? You keep something open in the nature and we say that the oxygen present in the atmosphere is getting reacting with that metal. Let's see how. I will give you a general formula for this. This will be an asset for you for the lifetime. You have to remember this, that any metal comes in contact with oxygen, it is forming a metal oxide. Let us take an example for this. I am taking iron here. Iron, when comes in contact with oxygen, will form its oxide. That means iron oxide, right? So I think it is difficult for you to understand like that and remember, but the general formula definitely you have to remember. I will try to show you through an activity. We all can perform this activity at home also. Let us see the activity. See, we have an iron nail. Definitely you all know that nails are made up of iron. Over a period of time, what happens to this? Let us see. When time passes away, the elements are present in the atmosphere, for example, oxygen, when it reacts with this nail and it is untouched for a longer period, what happens? A red colored layer is formed on this nail. This shows that metal oxide layer has been formed on the iron. Now, I would like you to remember one thing, that all metals, or metal oxides rather, I'll say, are basic in nature. Basic in nature. Now, what do you mean by basic in nature? I will try to make you understand more better. What is basic in nature? This I will be able to explain you with the help of a neutralization method. Now, what is neutralization? Neutralization says that acid, when comes in contact with base, are having a tendency to form its salt and water. Now, salt and water. Here, I don't mean to say the salt that we eat at home. Let us take an example. Hydrochloric acid, when comes in contact with metal oxide. See, this was the metal oxide which we got in the earlier reaction, right? This is iron oxide. I'm taking iron oxide in place of base. Remember that point. Only then I will be able to understand why I say that it is basic in nature. Now, hydrochloric acid. This is a dilute hydrochloric acid. When I took that oxide of metal, that is iron metal I had used, and it is giving me a salt named ferric chloride and water. I will again show you an experiment here. See, this is a virtual experiment. Virtual means you are only seeing it. When we meet in the school, we can do it practically, correct? So let me show you. See, this is a solution of metal oxide and water. I have taken that rust in that water and mixed it well. And I'm going to test this on the litmus paper test. So what is litmus papers? Children, you can see a red color strip and a blue color strip here. These are two litmus papers. The litmus paper is blue in color and red in color. When we put the solution on this, we have to observe the color. Okay. And one more clue I'm going to give you, which will be very beneficial for you in your studies, in the science studies, chemical reactions, that whenever anything turns blue, for example, the red litmus turns blue, it is, we say the solution is blue, basic in nature. Now, giving you a hint is that blue stands, B stands for blue and B stands for basic. So, do you understand how to remember it? You have to remember only one point. B stands for blue, B stands for basic. Now, here I am telling you, let us test and see what happens to the color. Is it changing or is it remaining the same? Children, see that the red litmus paper has turned into blue color. That means it indicates that B means basic, I told you. The solution which we have used here for our experiment or for our testing is a basic nature solution. So are you convinced that the solution, the metal oxide which was formed was basic in nature? Let's move ahead with the next property, that is reaction of metals with acid. Now, what happens when an acid comes in contact with you? We say it is highly dangerous, it is hot, exothermic, something wrong is going to happen. Let us see what happens. A general equation again is put up on your screen, that is metal when comes in contact with acid forms its salt and gives out hydrogen gas. Yes, let me explain you with an example. Zinc, when comes in contact with, reacts with hydrochloric acid, a salt of zinc, that is zinc sulfate, and hydrogen gas is given out. Now here I am telling you to highlight on this arrow. This arrow means upward direction. This is upward displacement of gas, and arrow itself indicates that a gas is coming out which we have to authenticate. Now, a virtual experiment will make all the confusions come out of your mind, and let us see here what happens. We have taken a test tube and a soap solution with me. See, in the test tube, I'm taking dilute sulfuric acid. 5 ml of dilute sulfuric acid and a soap solution just to see the bubbles which are coming out. We are going to put zinc granules in it. Granules means fine particles. We are going to use fine particles of zinc and see what happens. The experiment has started, like the chemical reaction has started. We are going to collect all this gas and allow it to pass through the solution of soap just to take the bubbles. A glowing splinter is taken near the bubbles which were emitted out. The bubbles you can see, which the gas is coming out through the bubbles, and what happens to the splinter? The splinter is glowing with a pop sound. Like in Diwali, what you say, plop, plop, that sound comes, no? So this pop sound indicates that hydrogen gas is coming out. Now, let's move ahead with the next reaction of metals, that is reaction of metals with water. Water also has some effect on everything. Water also has some effect on everything. You keep something in the water, something happens. Let's see in case of metals what happens. Again, a general formula. Children, you can note these general formulas because they are going to be very beneficial for you. You put any metal in it, you are going to get the same result. If you put any metal in it, you are going to get the same result. On the basis of this, you can do all the chemical reactions on your own. Let us see an example, sodium. When sodium comes in contact with water, what happens? Sorry. Children, sodium means, water means what you say, something happens, you pour water on it, you feel very cold or you feel very chilled out, and it is a soothing thing. Water normally is said to be a very soothing thing. But see, you cannot just imagine something. You have to be very specific, accurate, and authenticate when you talk about science. You have logic in everything. Here, we are seeing the reactivity of metals. Some metals are very reactive, some are slow, some are okay. So let us see how is sodium going to react with water. I will show you a virtual experiment again here. And this we have to do always perform in the presence of our teacher. Let us see, this is a laboratory and we have some laboratory equipments with us. What are we going to do? As I said, that sodium is a soft metal. We have taken water in a beaker, cut a piece of sodium, dab it with the filter paper just to remove some traces of water, roll it in a cotton ball and just drop it in the water. See, this is cold water we are using. Oh my God, without even lighting it. I have not shown the ignition to it. Still, we can see that it has started burning. It is burning on its own, See, let us allow to stop it and touch the beaker from out. We can just feel it that the beaker has become hot from outside. Now, as you know, it has become hot. That means heat is generated. That means the reaction which occurred was exothermic reaction. Correct. But again, the question comes, as we spoke about sodium hydroxide, one more clue I will give you, which you can use in your further classes, is whenever you have OH together in some compound, we will say that OH stands for hydroxide. Children, hydro means itself water. So when it reacts with water, we say hydroxide of that metal is formed. So that is again basic in nature, but we have to do the litmus test. Okay, do you remember the litmus test? That was red litmus turning blue. So you don't remember everything. You just have to remember B stands for blue, B stands for basic. Okay, let us test. We are going to see the litmus paper here. We are going to use the red litmus paper and dip it in the solution. See, it has turned blue. So we can say that metal hydroxides are also basic in nature. Okay, so this ends with the reaction of metals with oxygen, acid and water. Let's move ahead. We say that metal hydroxides are basic in nature. We have just learned about it. Let's move ahead with chemical properties of non-metals. We cannot leave the non-metals aside. So let's move on with the same categories, with the same test which we had performed, starting with the electronic configuration. We have taken some non-metals here, nitrogen, oxygen, and chlorine. And the atomic numbers are here. We have done the numerical electronic configuration. And now what have I told you? Just to concentrate on the outermost shell. That is the valence shell. That is the valence electrons. Let us see nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 electrons in the outermost shell. Oxygen has 6 electrons in the outermost shell and chlorine has 7. See, here you see the numbers are greater than 4. When the numbers are greater than 4, they have the ability to accept it from others. It is very difficult to give out 7 electrons to somebody. So we are going to take electrons here. Now again, if you take something from the some outside metals, what happens? A negative charge is going to be produced, as shown in example of chlorine. These are the formation of ions. When chlorine here is accepting 1 electron, one negative charge is created on chlorine, and this here is called anion. There when it was positive, it was called cation. Here it is called anion. And we similarly we can say oxygen has a tendency to accept 2 electrons and 2 anions are formed, and nitrogen has capacity to accept 3 electrons. So it has 3 anions formed on it. Now let's see with the reactions in the atmosphere. Let's see the reaction of nonmetals with oxygen. Oxygen reacts with nonmetals to form nonmetal oxides. It is so simple. See, once you learn that equation, now you can say on your own. All metals, when reacted with oxygen, form their metal oxides. The similar case is here. Non-metals, when react with oxygen, form non-metal oxide. Let us take an example of carbon, which is a non-metal. Everybody knows that coal, and when it reacts with oxygen, it is going to form carbon dioxide. Let's see one more example, that is sulfur. When comes in contact with oxygen, gives out sulfur dioxide. Okay, and these sulfur dioxides are opposite to those of metals. These are non-metal oxides, are acidic in nature. What it was? Non-metal metal oxides were basic in nature. Here the non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. So I will not tell you and you will believe me. You will say, teacher, show me the proof. So let us again test it with the neutralization method. What is neutralization? A general formula is already given to you. That is, acid when reacts with bases will form salt and water. Okay, so acid. Here in case of acid, we are going to substitute. In place of acid, we are going to take the metal oxide which was formed earlier. And the metal oxide was carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide. Here in this case, I'm taking carbon dioxide. When reacts with sodium hydroxide, that is a base, we are going to get a salt of it. My dear children, we are going to get a salt of this, and this salt is sodium carbonate. Okay, the sodium carbonate in our common language, the layman's language, it is known as washing soda. Dear children, this washing soda is being used in your detergents. When you wash clothes at home, all your detergents are having washing soda in it. We have seen in the ads also. And water is released out. So this is a salt and this is a water. So we can say that we have proven. But what have we proved here? That metal oxide has acted as an acid. Okay. Let's see the reaction of nonmetals with acid. Now, we know that acids are harmful. Acids are having exothermic reactions. Acids are harmful. And let us see what happens here when nonmetals react with acids. Oh my God, to a surprise, nonmetals do not react with acids. See, nonmetals are not affected with the acids. This thing you have to remember. So we can move forward to do the reaction with water. Let's see how nonmetals react with water when they come in contact with water. Nonmetal oxides, when comes in contact with water, they have a reaction and an acid is formed. So we are going to use the same nonmetal oxide which we had obtained earlier reaction, that is carbon dioxide. With water, when it reacts, it gives out carbonic acid. Let's see the other example also. Sulfur dioxide reacts with water to give sulfurous acid. Okay, let's move ahead with the next concept of today's topic, that is noble metals. Children, noble metals are those elements which are found in nature. They are having the electronic configuration. In their electronic configuration, the outermost orbit is complete with their octet. That means if the octet is complete, the metal is said to be stable. And once we say that the metal is stable, the element is stable, they do not react with anything in their environment. So they do not react with acid, water, oxygen, may it be any other gas or any other metal. So what are nonmetals? Nonmetals do not take part in any chemical reactions. Do you want to know what are these nonmetals? The examples are gold and silver. These are noble metals. I'm sorry. These are noble metals. Sorry. Noble metals do not take part in any chemical reaction because they are having their octet complete. The examples which we have seen here are gold, silver, and platinum. Dear children, mummy is wearing gold bangles and gold earrings and gold chain all the time. Whenever she is going here and there, bath, so water and other gases are not having any effect on them. The gold always keeps on glittering. Okay, but these noble metals are of some use to us. Let us see the uses of these noble metals. Gold, silver, and platinum definitely are used in making the ornaments. See, platinum is also called as white gold. It is having the glittering property and it is white in color. The properties are similar as gold, but it is more costlier than gold. Silver, here we have seen Ayurveda is using medicines which are having silver traces in it. So because silver is having an antibacterial property. Silver is having an antibacterial property, and hence you have heard about the ads which we say, listen about the Chyawanprash. Chyawanprash is containing some traces of gold or silver. That is why Chyawanprash is very costly, but it is healthy for you. So now gold and silver medals, when competitions are held, you get medals. The first ranker will get a gold medal. The second ranker will get a silver medal, and also used in some electronic devices. Coming to the Platinum. Platinum is used as a catalyst. Now, what is a catalyst? It is something which is present but does not take part in the chemical reaction. It is, then why is it available in that reaction? It should go away. No, it is helping to speed up the chemical reaction. The speed of the chemical reaction, if you want it faster in few reactions, a catalyst is compulsory to be added. Let's move ahead with the next concept of today, that is purity of gold. Now children, purity of gold, this is a big bar, but what do you mean by purity? Something which does not have any impure things in it. That means it is very clean. Nothing except gold is present in that. Now gold, if I talk, it is, how do you know whether it is 100% pure or not? Gold is measured in a unit called carat. C-A-R-A-T, we will see here now. But before going ahead, I will like to tell you that gold in its pure form is in a soft, in nature. Gold is soft in nature. Of course, I cannot cut it with a knife, but it is soft. When ornaments are made up of gold, they tend to have the deformation of them, even if the little pressure is applied to them. For example, if you wear a chain made up of gold, what will happen if somebody happens to pull it out? It might break very easily. So goldsmiths, if they normally do not make ornaments of gold in 24 karat, to make it strong, durable, and to give strength to your ornament, they are using some kind of other metals, that is in the form of silver and copper. Children, you must have seen a gold which is having a reddish tinge. Nowadays, it is also called rose gold. So we are going to see the proportion goldsmiths are using in making of your ornaments through this table. I'm going to put up a table here. See, there is 24 karat, which says it is 100% pure, and coming down to 22%, which makes the 22 karat gold is a little lesser amount of gold. That means the remaining part is either silver or copper. And why have we used silver and copper? To make it strong and durable. Okay, the luster will not come down. But nowadays, when we go for ready-made jewelry, like we don't give orders to make our bangles and earrings or chain, we take it as they are available in the market. That is available in 18 karat. Normally, we take diamond rings or diamond sets studded in gold are of 18 karat, in which only 75% is gold. The other 25% will be some other metal like silver or copper. Similarly, we go down as the carat of gold goes down, the percentage of the gold also goes down. This is the direct variation type thing. And here I would like to highlight, you can tell your mother also, the carat goes down. If the carat falls, even your price falls down. The 24% the 24 karat gold is very costlier. And as you go to the lower step here, the gold also is cheaper. That means the price falls as the carat falls. Let's go to another concept of today, that is corrosion. Children, what do you mean by corrosion? Corrosion is degradation of some metal. Many metals are available in the nature. Many of them are available in our house also. So various metals show this type of corrosion. This is spoiling of your thing. They show it in your decoloration, like some other color layer is formed. Different metals show different colors to indicate that corrosion has happened. In our language, we also tell that it is rusting, like spoiling of it. Let us see what is corrosion here. Corrosion is a deterioration. What do you mean by deterioration? That is degradation of materials by chemical reaction with the elements present in the environment. Okay, so let us see some examples. Iron. Iron comes in contact with the oxygen present in the nature, in the atmosphere, in the environment where it is present, and see how it degrades. A layer of reddish colored thing is up on it, and slow and steady, it wears out. Like it tries to, see, here we can say that pipe has even started having a hole in it. If you don't mend it on time, if you don't take care of these metals, they are going to spoil over a period of time, and their strength also decreases. We have seen this in presence of oxygen. When it comes in contact with oxygen, they are forming a reddish color layer. So I told you different metals are showing different colors to indicate that oxides have been produced. See, this is a copper vessels. These are antique pieces which we are not able to find. These are found in museums only. And this mask, you can see, it is made up of copper, and a green color layer has been formed here. So carbon here does not react with oxygen. It reacts with dioxide present in the environment and shows us that greenish color layer is formed on the metal. So copper shows a greenish color layer. Let's move ahead and see silver. Children, these types of ornaments we have seen girls wearing on Navratri days. And this is a box which we used to keep some ornaments, or in earlier movies also we had seen they used to keep pan in these boxes. Over a period, when they were very shiny, over a period like few days, months and years, if they are left untouched, they combine sulfide present in the atmosphere and they show black in color. They turn black. Coins which are used for Diwali puja also, we see that they convert into a black color layer is formed. Again, you clean it, scrub it with your so water or soap solution. They might. The next and last but not the least today is alloy. Now children, what is alloy? As in metalloids we had seen, the metals which showed both the properties. It was something intermediate, that they have the property of metals also, they have the properties of non-metals also. Something like that, metals which are not very strong are required to make some vessels or even aeroplane models. You need to have a stronger metal in it. So what scientists have done, they have seen the durability of something and the glitter in something, and they have tried to mix the metals or mix the non-metals also. Let us see what is an alloy. It is a homogeneous mixture. That means totally blended into themselves, a homogeneous mixture of two or more metals, or in other cases, metal with a non-metal, as per the requirement of the metal which we have to make a vessel or any other article. Now, where are these used? These are used in your houses. The stainless steel utensils that we are using. See, here I have shown a dabba, but all the dabbas which your mother is using to store your materials of household things, that is made up of iron which is mixed with carbon, chromium and nickel. We were talking about the competitions held. The person who stood third ranker used to get is bound to get a bronze medal, which is made up of a combination of copper and tin. So this is all we have learned today, and I hope you understood everything which I have taught you. The reaction with oxygen, acid, water, noble metals, purity of gold, corrosion, alloys, and I would like to ask you something, that the corrosion has happened. Now I want to prevent that corrosion. How will you help me stop that corrosion? Can anybody answer that? If you want to stop the corrosion, to prevent corrosion on metals, what are we going to do? Any one of you can answer? That metal should not be spoiled.
Teacher, applying a layer of zinc, miss.
Zinc. Something household in the oil. Very good. You can apply oil, like a pair of scissors a tailor is using, and sometimes he is not able to. Very good, children. I will just explain you in a short that the scissor which is left untouched for many years, and he applies oil on that, and paint is applied, varnish is applied, and we can say oil or grease is also applied on the to prevent them from corrosion. Talking about bronze. Bronze is made up of mixture of two metals. What are those metals? Can you answer? Bronze is made up of dash and dash. Answer from somebody.
Teacher, copper and tin.
Very good. Copper and tin. So we talked about the noble metals also. Can anyone of you give me one use of the metal and its uses? Name them. Gold, silver, copper, platinum.
Teacher, making ornaments.
Very good. Making
ornaments.
making ornaments. Also, silver is used for medicinal purposes. Very good, children. This is the homework. You can have a screenshot of it and write your answers and give it to me at the earliest. And this is all for today. We will meet in our next session. I hope you are enjoying your science lectures and you're enjoying your science lectures, all of you. So I'm happy to say that we are meeting every time on our virtual lectures, and keep enjoying, listen to the lecture.